Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are we all doing? All right, let's try this again. Who's excited not to answer a work email for the next 5 hours? Sounds a little better. And for those of you who don't like emails, maybe a Teams message going on D&D for the next couple hours, have your boss maybe deal with some things. And if you are the boss, just keep ignoring it. No, I'm kidding. Kidding. Just want to say thank you all so much for coming out and welcome officially to the 2024 C3 Tech Summit. Now, yesterday, I do want to recognize, yesterday was Veterans Day. And I know yesterday we had our pre-launch party, but I do want to give some recognition to the veterans in the audience today. C3 also has 3 veterans of our own. So please give a round of applause to the veterans who have served our country. All right, we have a day full of a lot of excitement, a lot of great information, a lot of great networking. We are so incredibly excited to kick this off. And of course, without further delay, I am happy and proud to introduce the founder, president, and CEO of C3 Technology Advisors, Matthew Toth.
All right, good morning, everybody. Holy cow, bigger audience this year. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. My name is Matthew Toth. I'm the founder of C3 Technology Advisors. This event started at Switch 7 years ago. Switch is a data center just down the road. And there was about 60 attendees that showed up. Today we expect between 520 and 530 attendees. I appreciate you being here on our big day, and it's awesome to see this thing grow over the years. You know, it's funny, me and Tim Vanderbilt, first employee at C3, came here 11 years ago, and we toured the facility, and we mused about something like this. And we got the quote, and then we just kind of chuckled, and it's like, we're never going to pull this off. And here we are. So I want to give a shout out to 53 sponsors that are all here today. You'll see their booths out in the hall. I ask all of you, have a few conversations. These vendors span a wide range of technologies, all different kinds of things. Go have some good conversations. Talk about your environment. Talk about what's going on in the marketplace, what the latest is with technology. If you do that and you get 21 signatures on the Passport to Prizes card, go to the registration booth, give it to them, and you'll be entered to win a few prizes. We're going to call for the winner a little bit before 4 o'clock, before the keynote with Damon John at 4 o'clock today. So good luck to you. So there's a whole bunch of things to go through, sessions. There's over 30 sessions today, so I really can't get into all of them. But I want to talk about a few of them. But they'll all be around 3 different kinds of technologies: AI, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and contact center, and really how AI influences cybersecurity and contact center. The main sessions I'll talk about this morning will be a Q&A and presentation with Paul Isley. That is going to be on the stage here in about 15 minutes. He's going to talk about the intersection of the economy, AI, and IT. So we're going to talk to him about how we avoided the recession and also what he sees in his economic crystal ball in the future. The next one will be a fireside chat between Gary Sorrentino and Milos Topic. And Milos is the award-winning CIO at Grand Valley State University, and Gary is the CIO of tech and collaboration giant Zoom. They're going to be talking about collaboration technology and talk about having 5 generations of people in the workforce. 5 generations today. That's kind of a crazy idea. Talk about different communication styles. They're going to talk about driving innovation through those 5 different generations for teachers, students, employees, really everyone that's out there. The last one we'll talk about is Damon John. So Damon John will be our keynote. We'll be doing that at 4 o'clock today. Daymond John is the people's shark on ABC's Shark Tank, which has been on TV for 16 years. They have done over 700 investments in different companies, totaling over $230 million of dollars invested. He's going to talk about life, fatherhood, being an entrepreneur, and the role of technology in his companies and his investments over the past 30 years, starting with his founding of FUBU all the way through Shark Tank. It was 4 years ago that I actually met Daymond John virtually. And I want to give a shout out to Avant in the corner, who set up a Shark Tank pitch-off. It was in the middle of the pandemic. Everybody is at home, and they put this together, and there was some prize money on the line. And I got selected, and I competed, and I actually had the opportunity to win. And I won a whole bunch of money. And when they asked me if I wanted to say any words, I said, I'd like to give that money to Daymond John's charity, the Starkey Hearing Foundation, I'll never forget it, in exchange for 2 hours of his time. And he said yes. So I got 2 hours of them. It was just on a Zoom, and everyone was at home at that point in time. And celebrities, they can be divas and just outright jerks. I couldn't have found him any more engaging, any more humble. And I won't lie, I was kind of in awe. And all I could think to myself is, I hope there's one day when we can bring him to this conference. And that day is today. So I appreciate him coming to little old Grand Rapids. So I want to give a couple shout outs to community partners. So SIM West Michigan, SIM Detroit, SOCAP International, Michigan Council for Women in Technology, and CSA West Michigan. SIM Detroit, we have been helping them put their events on in the Detroit area for about 2 years. I love that organization because they give all their money to charity. We're actually, one of the C3ers is a founding member of the SIM West Michigan chapter. For Michigan Council of Women Technology, their president's actually going to be on a panel event that will be on stage here in a couple of hours. And then CSA West Michigan, Matt Nelson, Aaron Bragg, they've been good partners to us and vice versa for the last few years. Really appreciate all of them being here today. So the other thing I want to do as well is I want to give a shout out to these legacy clients. It's 16 years since we started this thing back in November of 2008. And the thing that I'll go to my grave saying is that if there aren't people really early on that don't show faith in who we are and what we'll do, when we're between 1 and 2 employees, none of this ever happens. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate you. This is an abbreviated list up here. And I just want to say thanks. So there's a lot of goodness in the world that I think will happen simply because you showed faith in us early on and you were an early adopter. So thank you. So also want to give a shout out to our advisory council as well. They're going to be giving us guidance, advice on different projects, initiatives, innovations and such as we look to introduce those in the future. So thank you for being a part of an advisory council. And I really do cherish your feedback. So one of those innovations we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about 2 of them. This is the first one. First is this thing called C3CX Pulse Report. And the idea with this is Forrester has their Forrester Wave and Gartner has their Magic Quadrants. And we said to ourselves, we have over 1,000 clients. We've done thousands of different projects. We have an opinion on this too. So why don't we put those things out there? So we put our own thought leadership report out there. This is going to be in your email boxes by next Thursday. I'd love your feedback on it. Give that to me. Give that to your consultant. Give it to marketing. We'd like to know what you think. Our idea is that we're going to put between 2 and 4 of these out per year. Probably on different technologies. So the second one is something called C360. So in doing this over 16 years, executives have come to us and have just said, This whole process, from the moment I think I might need some kind of a technology and I'm in evaluation, all the way through years of having that solution and needing to renew that service. What does this whole journey look like? How do I put this into a single pane of glass? It's quotes and it's ordering and it's inventory, it's contracts and it's renewals. And some of this is in someone's email box and some of this is in some file system somewhere else. And we decided to put this all together into one different innovation, into one innovation that we've created. So I'm going to invite back up to the stage, Taylor Vossler, who's going to give you a quick demo of this tool. We'll be doing longer demos of this at our booth throughout the day. So if you like what you see, please go there at some point in the day and get yourself your own demo. So Taylor, go ahead.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm really, really excited to showcase C360. As Matthew mentioned, we are going to be doing full demos at the C3 booth just behind the main doors here. But this is entirely just reimagined, as Matthew mentioned, single pane of glass. You can now see where your entire IT buying journey is in one simple view. So to kick things off, of course, we have our summary. This is very important, especially for the executives in the room. If you want to see where and what needs your attention, very simply, 15 seconds, you know exactly where everything is. Now, as Matthew mentioned, and I'll paint the picture, we've all been there. You have a new site or a new store that's turning up, and obviously, you're going to need some internet. Man, like having to go back and forth in those inboxes and getting the quotes and trying to organize it, and maybe you have one person who has a better relationship with vendor A over there versus vendor B, it can get pretty complex. So what's really amazing about this tool is we have a few buttons here. So this one in particular, submit a quote request. It's as simple as filling out one form to C3. And I'll even show you it's as simple as that. Once that is submitted, there is an entire automation process behind the scenes where C3 will get notified that your site is ready to receive quotes. C3 will actually go and procure those quotes for you, and we'll let you know where those quotes are sitting within that process. So as I scroll over, you're going to see, hey, how many are ready for review that needs you, the clients, action on selecting what provider you'd like to move forward with. You'll also see who we are still waiting on vendors to provide us those quotes back. So when you are ready for us to then have that selection of what vendor you'd like to move forward with, it is as simple as going into the simple report here. Once you click into that report, you're going to see not only all the vendors that did come back with quotes, you're also going to see speed, term, cost, and we can get any additional detail that you may need. We also provide contracts, and also if there's any images, pictures, any other collateral, we'll upload that as well. Now what's really cool, and I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, is once you make the selection of what vendor you'd like, all of this follows. So what's really cool as well, no more emails. All of your conversations are now going to be in here. So if you need to understand why a certain vendor was selected, or if you have additional questions, we receive those notifications very simply. So, and I know I keep saying simply a lot, but like, look how easy this is. I hit that button, I hit save. My team then gets a notification to go and procure that contract with that provider with those terms and that speed. Once that contract is ready to go, we'll ask for you to sign it. Once, obviously, the signature is done, we're moving into orders. So as I showed you, we're going to take all that information, move that into orders, where you're now able to see where that order sits and what major milestones are met. Anything at risk, it's going to be called to the top to have you have that understanding, what's going on, and what the next action items are. Once your order is complete, we then get to my favorite part, the contract renewal. So with contract renewal, this gives you full visibility up to 12 months to seeing what sites are coming up for renewal, what solutions are coming up for renewal, and what possible impact, so disconnects to anything else. This is also a really amazing solution with automation. Anytime a contract hits your 3-month mark, we receive that notification to help and assist with your renewal process. If you want us to go and re-quote, you would like to reevaluate another provider, we are there to help you along the way, and we will follow up with you directly. Now, last but not least, just kidding, there's always more, but we have an awesome and amazing inventory option as well. As I mentioned earlier, from quotes to orders to contracts, we're collecting all of this data. So we're now able to simply put this data into this single pane of glass so you can see what providers you have at what sites or stores. You can also see how diverse your inventory is. And then for some of the fun nerds like me, I love all my circuit IDs and account IDs, and I need some quick information. We now also have ISP reporting. So you're now able to see what your primary, secondary, and tertiary is, along with all the additional information. Obviously, 100% customizable to what your needs may be. So I know I ran through a lot, and I have one more amazing feature to show you, and I'm gonna flip gears a little bit. This is called Live Survey. So I'm gonna paint one more picture here. You have about 10 stakeholders. You're trying to now understand what contact center provider that you and your organization needs to move forward with. Now, collecting all the data and feedback from these demos, I mean, we've all been there, full day, 3 demos, back to back to back. You barely have time to pee and get coffee. We all know that. And so we really want to understand, how can we help turn this process around quicker, better, faster? So with Live Survey, we are now able to enable a true survey platform that provides instant results back to you. So once the surveys are complete, you're going to be able to see how vendors are scoring and ranking, not only against one another, but based on features from your own RFP process. So you can see how all of these folks are going to break over from, as this example, calling features, conferencing, and maybe some admin items. It's also going to call out questions. At any point where you're trying to come up with that decision, who is the best vendor for us to move forward with and who is going to strategically align with our organization, this is your holy grail here. So this is going to have your entire information onto the why and what you will be doing. So I know I was a little long-winded. I appreciate the time today, Matthew. And of course, as I mentioned, we will be at the C3 booth doing a full in-depth demo for all of you to explore. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Taylor. Like we said, please do stop by the booth if you'd like to see a demo of that. So I want to get into, for a little bit, the what and why we do what we do. So I want to start with a little bit of my personal journey. I spent 8.5 years in corporate America getting a crash course in ethics, M&A, good and bad leadership, sales classes, all that stuff. And I created C3 to essentially to be an escape from the real world, to be an escape from corporate America. And at some point over the last 10 years, it entirely flipped around and it became about everybody else. And it wasn't about me. And I somehow tripped into this wonderful thing. And my life now is all about helping people maximize their potential and seeing people progress over time and take on new challenges. And it's been so incredibly fun and fulfilling. And it's the thing that I want to do for the next 30 to 50 years. Now, I know that makes me like 97, so I hope they'll have me to that age. All I'll say is it's really cool to have found the thing you're supposed to do. I don't know if there's everyone in the room ever finds the thing they're supposed to do, the thing that they're destined to do. And I did, and I'm forever grateful to God and those C3s out there that has shown that faith in us. So that's my personal why. So the organization that we've created, I don't want to go in through all the culture and all the values and stuff, but there's just 2 things I just want to mention real quick. Ingenuity and action. This conference is 7 years of successes and failures. Learn from the failures. There's probably more failures than successes in getting here. But you know what? We encourage those. As long as you're trying hard and daring greatly, go make those failures because it creates a fertile ground for success to grow upon. The other one I want to talk about as well, and I know it's a cliche to say that warms my heart, but I have a hard time figuring out something else, a better phrase. There's a C3er, her name is Tametta McKenzie. She lives in western South Carolina. Hurricane Helene 2 months ago went through North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Really did a number on that whole area. She was left without electricity for weeks and without water. She had to live with some friends, and then she ultimately had to live in a hotel. It's pretty hard to do with a newborn baby. And all I could think to myself, I pulled another C3er, I'm like, let's just help her out a little bit. Like, let's get, a food cart and let's just help her out with a couple of things that we're capable of doing. And we did that. And what I love is that there were 15 other C3ers that were thinking the exact same thing with somebody that they didn't even really know. She's not in the Midwest. We don't see her in person. A lot of the C3ers never actually met her in person, but she wears that C3 badge, and we take care of our own. And damn, that warmed my heart. And it makes me want to be here forever and ever. So I appreciate all of you folks that helped out a C3er in a time of need. So I don't want to go through all this stuff. I mean, you're going to see our growth throughout the years. This isn't some brag slide. You know what it is to me? It's this collection of stories. And it's the stories that that make me jump out of bed every morning. I'm going to give you an example of this. Taylor, who's up here a little while ago, we hired Taylor 6 years ago. And she was the sole marketer. She did marketing. She hired an entire team. She actually hired her replacement, and we moved her into a director of operations role. She rolled out EOS to help essentially run the company. And she's created C360. I can't wait to see what she does for the next 10, 20, 30 years, or however long I can hold on to her for. I think of Tim, who worked in my spare bedroom for 2 years on rural healthcare projects just to get a toe into this business. And he built that business into the largest base of clients that any C3er has. I think of Joe Mock, who was an engineer at our first client. And he came here and became an engineer of SD-WAN, and then he moved over to UC, and then he became the head of contact center, and now he directs the entire engineering group. He's the director of engineering. And I love these stories. When I see this, I just see this collection of stories. And that's a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see the rest of all of your stories for, again, however long you'll have me. So why do we exist? We exist because buying technology is hard. It's fraught with pitfalls. There are minefields everywhere. There's never enough time and energy and resources you can devote to doing all the things you're supposed to do in order to buy technology. So I almost think about it like this, like cybersecurity. Think about this for a moment. You have like your really, really expensive products, right? But the things that are most effective are the things that are kind of mundane. They require patience and time. It's end user training. It's don't click on links. It's patching. It's creating inventory of the things that you have on your network. It is the things you're just supposed to do, but they do require a lot of time and energy and effort and patience. Well, I think about that from the buying perspective. It is hard talking to all these vendors and reading all these white papers and looking through a 100-page proposal. So we help you, we augment your staff and help you in doing this. Everything from creating RFPs and running them all the way to the implementation and renewal. You're making decisions at the end of the day, but you need a partner to give you that insight and experience, and we do that. But it's to take the things off your plate that might just be mundane or you just absolutely really don't want to do. So in the end, what do? I think about it like this, actually. I think we enable Bissell to sell more vacuum cleaners. We help Grand Valley students access their student aid. We help ATI Physical Therapy schedule patient appointments. We want to help you do the things that you do. That's what we're here for. I don't want the center stage in your world. We want to be the folks that are doing the plumbing, that are elevating all of you, allowing you to do the things you're supposed to do. So what is this? So I think about the era that we're all in today. And I don't know if everyone truly realizes that we are now sitting in this era of hyper change. We're in it, and sometimes you just don't realize that you're in it until someone actually points us out. Let me give you an idea of what I mean. Cars were essentially, Ford creates the Model T, puts it in mass production in the 1900s, 1910s. And then for the better part of 70 or so years, there's just monumental, incremental improvements in the car. And then all of a sudden you hit a moment of hyper change. Call it about the mid-late 90s, and you start to get to hybrids. You start to get to navigation, Sirius XM, streaming. Your cars now are essentially a piece of software with wheels on them. Autonomous driving, hybrids, EVs, all of this stuff. What I would tell you is the amount of innovation that's happened with the car is 5 or 10x over the last 25 years as it was for the first 60 or so. You're in the middle of this moment of hyper change. Same thing with televisions. Television, created in the mid-1930s, black and white TVs. It doesn't really take off. It takes a little while. That little thing called World War II happens. 1950s, color TV comes out. And then again, just incremental changes over time. Not much changes. And then you get to 1999, and TiVo is introduced. And next thing you know, it's HD, it's 720, it's 1080, it's streaming, it's Netflix, it's cord cutting, it is 4K and then 8K, and the panel's getting smaller. This was this era of hyper change where 5 to 10x the amount of change happens during this small period of time. You're in this era of hyper change now, right now, and it's one of the reasons why I think an organization like us, a partner like us exists, to help you make sense of this era of hyper change. So with no further ado, I'm gonna bring up AJ, who is the CTO from Expedient. He's gonna come up here and talk about Expedient, and then he's gonna welcome myself and Paul Isley back on stage. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
There's the clicker. Hi, everybody. My name is AJ Kuftik. I am Field CTO with Expedient. We are a full-stack cloud service provider. We do managed infrastructure as a service, VMware, Nutanix, backups, DR as a service, and colocation. But a lot of what we do is help clients figure out how to spend their time better. As Matthew said, he wants to help people get to where they're going. There it is. Look at that. The big thing that we do, though, is we help people figure out where to go next, because we've seen a lot of what's going on in that space. If you'd like to learn more, we're just outside that door there. You can come talk to us. But the big thing, I just want to ask a question. How many people here have heard of AI? Just real quick show of hands. A lot of Allen Iverson fans in here. Love that. The big thing, though, that we're seeing with AI, though, is that it's not being pushed by the technology side of the house. It's being pushed by the board. It's being pushed by the CEO. And the big thing here is they keep asking, when are we getting AI? I got to have my AI. And the question, I look at it like sprinkles. They just think you're going to sprinkle some AI on top and just magically make things better. Has that worked in technology ever? No. I look at sprinkles and I think to myself, what am I putting that on? Is that sundaes? Is that a donut? Is that cakes? What could that be? Could be anything, really. My kids will just say mouth. But what the question you have to ask, though, is what problem are we solving? If you try to go out with a technology in this era of hyperchange and not have a plan, it ends poorly. And so what is the actual problem we're trying to solve? In a lot of cases, people are saying, hey, I just want to get AI into the hands of my customers, into the hands of my end users. But there's a lot of nervousness. There's a lot of shaky feelings in the chest right now. And a lot of that comes back to things like security. When we look at how do I take advantage of all this, right now you have ChatGPT and Copilot. They're great tools. But when it comes to actually assigning that to your private data, there's a lot of fear. Because how many directors, CIOs, types of people in the room right now, IT? How many of you work in IT? All of you. How many of you work in legal too? All of you. How many of you work in security? All of you. You see where I'm going here. We have to do a lot more than just the technology part. We have to assure the organization that their data is safe, that they're not putting things at risk. You're a hospital system, you are covered in PII. You cannot do anything about that. So that's the big piece here. How do I protect the organization? And when we look at things like AI in this era of hyperchange, one of the big things we see is a whole lot of rules go out the window, a whole lot of decisions get made. I just want to start rolling out ChatGPT. It's going to be great. And then all of a sudden, a spreadsheet of patients ends up in there. Not what we want. So how do we put our arms around this? That's a lot of fear that we hear from CIOs when we start talking about AI. Also, data isn't AI ready. How many of you run one big file server with all of your stuff in it, ready to go right now? That's right, nobody. Because everybody went in on SaaS. Office 365, Salesforce, Google Workspace, Slack, Zoom, ServiceNow, various other tools, Monday, Asana. None of that data is in the same place. And all of them have an AI tool they would like to sell you now. Do they talk together? No. So this is another problem. If you're trying to roll out AI to your entire organization, your data is in a million different silos and none of it is accessible to a single platform. So your data's not ready. And then there's the cost of that. ChatGPT is $30 a month for an enterprise account. Teams or Copilot is $20 a user. Do that 100 times, 200 times, 500 times. It gets very expensive very quickly. But the biggest thing here is there's no real business case that people are assigning yet. People just want to make emails not sound so mad, which I get. Everybody wants to type it. Nobody's ready to send it. So when you don't have a true business case, you're a hammer looking for a nail. And I realized this all sounds really familiar. I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized we're going to go back in time about 15 years. And I regret to inform you of the passage of time. But this was 2010. That was 15 years ago next year. This is cloud. This is where we were in 2010. Where am I going to go? I want to go to the cloud. I'm being told I'm going to go to the cloud. How many of you got told if you don't go to the cloud, your company's going to die? Should see some hands in the room. We're all here. Something happened. Oh, it turned out that the thing that we wanted to go do, we actually had to put our arms around it. We had to figure it out because other people went, tried to roll it out, didn't really have a business case, and all of a sudden they had a CVS bill down the arm of what their AWS spend was. So how do we enable this in a better way? How do we actually solve this? And the biggest thing is there at the bottom. If you didn't have a business case and you just said, I got to go to the cloud, I got to go faster, it's a great way to spend money at a great clip. So I'm going to give you a free AI strategy. You can feel free to take pictures of this if you'd like to. But the big thing here is that we need to discover first, what is the problem you're going to go solve? And I recommend here, start small. Do not try to jump out and try to boil the ocean. Try to boil 1 cup of water, okay? Figure out a pain point in your organization right now. For us, it was ticketing. We have our own ticketing system. We don't use a third-party tool. We wrote our own many, many years ago. And we said, hey, there's a lot of notes in these tickets, and trying to figure out the actual status of a ticket. What is that? Where are we? If somebody were to just look at it right now, they'd see dozens of notes of status changes and updates and things like connectivity tickets in particular. So when we start to figure this out, we start to figure out, okay, what data needs to be in there? How do I access that data? Who needs to access that data? Now I've got role-based access controls figured out. Now I have data discovery and classification figured out. And then we need to start to bring in AI guidelines. How do you allow data to be used in that space? How do we enable that to go out? And then how do we connect that data together? In the public tooling, that doesn't really work. If you use private tooling, there's other ways to do that. And then once you do that, you can acknowledge the success. We actually build a ticket summarizer. You put in the ticket number, it gives you a technical summary and an executive summary. It spits out in about 30 seconds things that used to take 4 hours to write up. It's amazing. Now I'm saving my team a bunch of time. That's the big win. But then I can take that and say, okay, how do I decide what I want to do with this? This is a really great tool. How do I take that further? Oh, what if I turn that into a daily digest for my clients? Where here's your open tickets and here's the summary of where they're at right now. I just made their user experience better. That is how you can be more successful with AI, establishing a business case and working that through with individual problems once you get comfortable with how you secure your data, how you enable that for your customers, and then you can roll that out from there. But I am going to reintroduce Matthew. Where'd Matthew go? I'm going to reintroduce Matthew back to the stage, and I'm going to introduce Dr. Paul Isley, who is a professor at Grand Valley State University. Go Lakers, by the way. And he's going to talk about economic trends with Matthew. But thanks, everybody, for your time.